Hi there, musicians. It's Miss Hendricks. Today we're going to learn about a concept called pitch. Think on this. When we hear the world around us, we hear all kinds of different sounds. We use different words to describe how the sounds were made and what they mean when we hear them. We hear sounds that we can describe as high or low, warm, thin, loud, soft, lots and lots of other words too. Let's make a connection. The two words that we will use to talk about sound today are high and low. These two words tell us the pitch of the sound, or how high or how low the sounds are. Take a look at these animals that we've got on the screen. All of the animals pictured here will make a high sound. We've got a mouse, bird, we've got a house cat over here, a monkey, a bat. All of these animals make very high-pitched sounds. These animals also have something else in common. Are they all very large animals, or are they all pretty small animals? All of the animals we see have two things in common. They are all smaller animals, and they all make a very high sound when they make sounds. Now take a look at the next slide here. I see a gorilla, a whale, a large dog, a bear, a pig. All of these animals have something in common too. They make low sounds. They also happen to be large animals. Gorillas are way bigger than people. Blue whales are the biggest animal on the planet. Pigs can grow to be very large. Bears get to be huge as well. Dogs can get pretty big. They all make low sounds with their voices. So take a look at the next slide that we've got going on here. We see 6 different instruments. We see a boy playing a tuba. We see a woman playing the double bass. We see a trombone, a man playing a clarinet. We see a violin, and we see a man playing a piccolo. Now notice that we have 2 arrows. We have an arrow pointing to the left for low and an arrow pointing to the right for high. The instrument that's the furthest to the left is also the instrument that makes the lowest sound. The tuba is the lowest of the instruments. It makes a very, very low sound, and it is also a very large instrument. The double bass that the woman is playing is almost as tall as she is. That means the strings are very long, and they'll make a very low sound when they are plucked or bowed. Up next, we have the trombone, and this trombone is really just a very long tube. And that tube, when you move air through it, makes a low sound. Now, the gentleman playing the clarinet, he's in the middle. He's under the blue arrow because the clarinet makes higher notes than some of the other instruments, but it doesn't make notes that are quite as high as the piccolo or as the violin. The clarinet is another kind of instrument that uses air to blow through a long tube. And this one will make, I would say, medium sounds. The violin has strings just like the double bass. They even look kind of the same. They both have a bow, they both have a long neck, they both have strings that are plucked or vibrated with the bow as you drag the bow across the strings. The violin strings are much, much shorter than the double bass's strings. The violin plays a much higher pitch than the double bass. Last, we have a gentleman who's playing a piccolo. He's wearing a hat, and he has his music strapped to his arm so he can see it while he plays. That piccolo is the smallest of all of the instruments that we have on our page. It's also the highest sounding instrument out of all the ones that we see. Let's take a look at the piano. The piano is a very special instrument because it has both high and low notes all in the same instrument. The high notes are all the way up to the right, and the further to the right you go, the higher the notes will sound. The low notes are all the way to the left, and the further to the left you go, the lower the notes will sound. Let's take a moment to do an exercise. We can make high and low sounds too. We all carry an instrument around with us that can make high and low sounds. It's not a piccolo, it's not a clarinet or trombone. It's our voice. We can use our singing voice to make high and low sounds, just like this famous opera singer, Marian Anderson. We are going to learn today a warm-up. A warm-up is something we use to make our singing voice ready to sing. We're going to learn a famous warm-up that helps lots of singers get ready. We're going to make the shape that we see, that blue line, we're going to make that with our voice. So our blue line starts low on the page, and it goes higher. Then it goes low on the page again, and then it goes higher again. We'll make our voice do the very same thing. So go ahead and get your finger out. We're going to trace the shape that we see together. Let's get ready. Very nice. All right, let's try it one more time. Very nice. When the sound was high, our finger was high, and we were making a high-pitched sound. When we saw that the line went low, our hand went low, our voice went low, and our eyes followed the line low on the page. Nice work. We have two more of these that we're going to try together. The next one looks like a green letter W. We're going to start high with our hand and high with our voice and high with our eyes because the line starts high on the page. Let's get started. Nice, one more time. Our last one. This one looks like a red letter M. We're going to start low on the page, low with our voice, and low with our hand. Everything is low all at the same time. Then we're going to go high with everything, and then low with everything, and then high, and then low. Let's get started. Nice. Let's do it one more time. Very good. We're going to do a connection activity here. So remember those animals. What size animal made the low sounds? What size animals made the high sounds? The large animals made the lowest sounds, and the smaller animals made the higher sounds. And what about those instruments? Could we count on the big instruments to make low sounds? Could we expect the small instruments to make high sounds? Yes, we can. The lowest sounding instruments were also the very biggest, the tuba and the string bass. And the highest sounding instruments were also the smallest, the piccolo and the violin. Strings are an excellent way to show how size and pitch can go together. So this picture that we see here is the inside of a grand piano. We see some very long strings moving from the middle of the piano that stretch all the way to the very end. And we see some short strings that stretch from right here all the way to there. I have my guitar with me today, and I'm going to make one of my strings. I'm going to let it be as long as it is normally. The string stretches all the way from right here, the top of the guitar, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down to here. That's a pretty long string. So I'm going to leave this string as long as it is and pluck it so you can hear what it sounds like. Now I'm going to press down on the string and make it shorter. So the only part of the string that will vibrate is this part all the way down to the bottom. Now see if the sound is higher or lower. Here's without, here's with. Long, short. Same string. The only thing that changed was how long or how short the string could be. Now go ahead and pause the video and open up the link in the description box. You'll go to Chrome Music Lab and open up the Strings app. Go ahead and experiment. See what happens when you pluck the long string and the short string. Decide for yourself which ones will play the lowest sounds and which ones will play the highest pitched sounds. And when you're all done, come back and unpause. All right, so let's make a prediction. When we pluck a string that is long, just like my string on the guitar, does it take a long time for the motion to go through the whole string, or do you think it'll just take a short time? And then, when we pluck a string that is short, do you think it will take a short time for the motion to go through the whole string, or a long time? Let's take a listen. Long, short, long, short. When we play a string or an instrument that's long or low, the sound, the energy that makes the sound, has to go through the whole instrument. So instruments like a string bass with very, very long strings are lower because it takes the energy a long time to move from one end of the string to the other. When we play an instrument that has very short strings, like when I shorten the strings on my guitar by pressing them, it makes the sound much higher because the string is shorter and the energy has less space to move around in. Long, short, long, short, long, short. Let's review some important ideas that we learned today. A sound can be high or low. Pitch is the word that tells us the highness or the lowness of a sound. If it's high, it has a high pitch. If it's low, it has a low pitch. Big instruments and big animals tend to sound low. Small instruments and small animals tend to sound high. A long string will sound low when it is plucked, and a short string will sound high when it's plucked. Nice work today, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll see you another day.